Good morning, you guys. Good job making it to our fourth and final week of our Back to Basics training. Um, I have learned a lot just teaching this, and I hope that you guys have also learned a lot. Um, it feels like a lot of information, but when you break it down, it really is super simple. It is basic, and it's very duplicatable. So today we're going to just finish up with talking about the elite cycle and 6 weeks to elite and a couple other things on placements. And before I start though, I want you guys, those of you who were able to get on live and who have been just catching the replays, it's amazing what you're doing for your business, and just making this a priority is going to push your business forward. And learning how to make this business duplicatable now within your businesses is going to save you a lot of heartache in the end. And so this is thank you guys for spending time on yourselves. You should thank yourself. So okay, so when we talk about the elite cycle, what does this even mean? This this is basically, so if you were to break up, hold on one second. Okay. All right. Sorry. Kids are being a little loud. Okay. So when you break up your organization and we're thinking about rank, you can break your organization up into elites. So I'll use myself as an example. As a platinum, in order to hit platinum, I have to have 3 silvers. Each one of my silvers, in order to hit silver, has to have 3 elites underneath them. So anytime I'm going to launch a new builder or I'm going to start a new leg, I'm going to go through these exact steps that we've been going through. And I love the concept of 6 weeks to elite, because you're breaking it down into bite-sized chunks rather than thinking about like, okay, to hit platinum, I have to find 9 new elites. Like that feels a little overwhelming. But what's really cool is that's 9 new people who are running with you. And you could potentially do that within 6 weeks. This is how people rank advance very quickly, is they have a very systematic way of launching elites. So an elite is someone who is 3,000 in volume. Okay. So we're looking at this ineffective cycle right here. So what makes this cycle ineffective? So you talk to 30 people, 10 people come to the class, 3 people attend, 1 purchases. Basically, the overall volume for that class is quite low, right? So if you scroll down here and look at the effective way, what is pointed out here is if you've gone through the proper steps that we've been talking about over the last 4 weeks, that is what is effective. You're giving people that experience. You're sampling them. You're slowing down and giving them an experience. So the people who come to the class, they're prepared. They're ready. They're ready to set up their own order. They're ready to set up their wholesale account. They're even considering wanting to share oils with, their friends and family. So you have a potential, share on your hands at this point, because you've gone through these effective steps properly. And so really, you guys slow down, sample properly, give them the experience. And this is why you will see this effective circle here, is because that is what has happened. So I'm going to talk about the 6 weeks to elite, and this is truly the most effective way to launch new builders in 6 weeks. And it's important this is important. The timing of this is really important, because when you have a new builder who's excited and ready to go and ready to run and ready to like start and put the energy into their business, you want to keep that momentum. When someone loses momentum in your business, it's really hard to regain it. It's really hard to, you know, inspire them back through that. So what we can do is go back to this. And if that does happen, this is what you go back to. So anytime, Elise talks about this, anytime you're getting ready to launch a new builder, a new leg, maybe your diamond leg, maybe your blue diamond leg, maybe you're just relaunching yourself. This is what we go back to, is this specific program right here. So this is just embodying everything we've been learning over the last 4 weeks. Okay, so I want to show you this first. So it's actually an 8 weeks because you have 2 weeks of prep. So you have 2 weeks to sample, follow up, and invite to class. So you go back to your list of 100 and you start, this is just, we're just talking about launching yourself to elite. And I recommend that everyone does this for themselves. I'm in the process of this right now. I'm actually in week 1 of this. And so I went through my list of 100. I reached out to a whole bunch of people. I'm sampling them here locally, as well as sending samples out. And then I'm following up with them just constantly throughout the week. Okay. So then the second week, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to be following up probably more on this second week. Week 1 is where I have booked my classes from the people that I've been sampling. So I'm booking classes virtually right now, obviously, because we can't be teaching classes in person. So 4 classes booked. So these 4 classes have been booked from people who are experiencing the oils and they're excited to share them, right? Not everyone is that way. Sometimes it's just, some of the classes are just going to be an open 101 class that I invite anybody to who I've sampled. That is the prerequisite here, is I want to go back to that effective way of right here, this effective cycle, right? They have to have been sampled and I have gone through those steps properly. Okay. So that is where I'm in. Then week 2 is another prep week. Okay. And then week 3, you have 2 classes, week 4, 2 classes, week 5, you have 2 classes, and week 6, you have 2 classes. So this, if you break this down on how many kits, you can go back up here and figure out how many kits you need to enroll to get that 3,000 PV in volume. So that should be really simple. If you're kind of having a hard time understanding that, reach out to your upline or contact me and I'll help you go through it. So time that's going to be required for this is 20 hours a week. 15 is the minimum to gain proper momentum in your business. 2 weeks to sample properly, a week where you can host 4 classes in 1 week. So you're gonna have to set aside that time. Remember, we're not doing 2-hour classes anymore. We're doing 45-minute to an hour at most classes, and then doing that little business class right after it. So these classes go fast. If you're doing them online and virtually, you guys will be able to get through this quick. So if you're thinking like, I can't teach 4 classes in 1 week, yes, you can. You have 4 hours that you can set aside to do this. Trust me. Prep weeks. So you go back to that list, create your names list, rank the list with 7-star rating system. Are they a 7? Are they a 6? Are they a 5? Start effective sampling. Who are you going to reach out to? How are you going to contact them, right? That same way. And then start contacting them. Sample at least 45 people. You can speed up the build process by scheduling 3-way calls with prospect calls who with your upline early on. If you feel like one of these people that you've already sampled is considering wanting to build with you, then if you are, if I'm your upline, well, I'm all of your upline, but if you need someone, I'll do a 3-way call with you, or ask your upline to do a 3-way call with you if you've already been doing them with you. And let's see if that person is really truly wanting to build, and we'll go through that process, right? Week 1, it's launch week. So host 4 classes in a week. Try to do a couple of weeknights and a couple on the weekend. I like to do midday and evening. I think that's great. Morning classes on the weekends are usually the best around this time, around 8 to 9 in the morning, virtually. Set a goal to book 2 new classes from each class. You're going to go through that whole process of booking classes from classes like we talked about in the 101 class. You're going to schedule the 3-way builder prospect call with those interested in the back to basics intro, and at the end of each class. Week 2 is you're going to be doing wellness consults with the people who have enrolled with you from week 1. Do that right away, guys. 3-way prospect builder call, right after that. You're going to help your hostesses prep for their classes and sample, follow up, and invite into classes. And then week 3 and 6, you're going to teach classes booked from the first class. So all these classes, the last 4 weeks, are all classes that you have booked from the previous classes, okay? So don't be freaked out like, oh, I have to set up all these classes and hopefully someone comes. No, you're actually going to have already been inviting people, and they're going to be booking classes from the classes, right? So this is the whole cycle. So we're just putting it into a shortened, condensed 6-week, what's really 8-week schedule to advance quickly. Okay. So let's see, where was I? Continue booking classes from classes, continue finding new builders, asking people if they're interested in sharing the oils, asking them, some of you are using your transitions. Some of you are sitting here thinking like, I want to educate and empower people through, the education of essential oils and go through that whole process. This is all these key parts should be coming together for you at this point. Okay, so going on, working with your hostesses, this is a great topic. A lot of people are like, I don't know how to do this. Well, you're going to be doing the exact same thing that you have been doing. So you're going to book a class with others who will host. And at the end of your intro, at the end of your intro to oils class, if they put a date on the calendar, for their class, give them that empty 3-vial keychain. We talked about that at home. For every person that comes to the class, give them samples of their vials. So you can bring your oil box, every oil kit or whatnot, and you can they can choose the oils. If you want to offer that, they can choose any oil out of your kit and fill their vials up for every person that came to that class. There are different types of people that host classes. The first type of person just wants to share information with their friends, right, and family. They're just a sharer. They're just excited to maybe possibly get their oils paid for. The second type is they want to share the product and possibly pay for the oils that they purchase. The third type is they want to host a class and they want to become a builder with you. So just like we've talked about, hold on one second. Okay, talk about their class at the wellness consult, not at the essential oil intro class, because otherwise it's just too much information and it's going to end up taking time, and you need to be helping people set up their enrollment and whatnot. So tell them when after your class, they've set up their account and you're going to book that wellness consult, tell them we have a class date and I would like to make that class just as successful as the class that you attended. I would like to have all of your friends that come to the class have a powerful experience with the oils before the class, just like you did. I'm going to write down all of the things that I did to make sure that you have a good experience. When we prepare in this way, the experience at the class can be life-changing. Okay, so you're going to go through these things. So you're going to call and ask if they would be interested for a sample. Then you're going to deliver the sample. You're going to follow up with that sample, possibly deliver another if they haven't had the experience that they were looking for. You're going to invite them to a class. You're going to call 2 days before. And you're going to call 2 hours before the actual class or text. Sorry. So it's the same thing, you guys. We're just condensing it. The hostess needs to look at this list and decide which of these things they would like to do, which things they would like the leader to do. Now, a sign that you have a builder on your hand would be someone who said, I did all of that. I don't need your help on this. So I texted them and they're the one that's following up with you hey, it's 2 days before the class. I just want to let you know that I called everyone and they're still planning on coming, and I'll text them 2 hours before our class. And so you're following up with the host, but if they're already taking the steps to be in contact with you and communicating with you as to what's happening with their class, you very well might have a builder on your hands. They may not know that yet, but you just look for those signs of just putting the effort in and taking the initiative to get the things. So The hostess needs to decide the level of involvement with preparation for the class that they are comfortable with. Some people really need a lot of hand-holding in this and they feel really uncomfortable and they're not sure what to do. So you may have to literally do everything. Do not assume that they know how to do anything. So this is a great way for you to know the type of person you're dealing with, sharer or builder. If you're dealing with a hostess or a sharer that isn't interested in making money, you will need to provide the samples, the oils, the stickers, and all of the reference guides and everything. So that is something you'll definitely talk about during that wellness consult, because you can kind of get down into the details of what they want. And obviously at the bottom of that wellness consult, we saw, right, they're gonna give you from a list of, or from they're going to be, hold on one second. My kitty is stuck. Hold on. So you're going to ask them how interested they are in possibly sharing or building the business with you on that form. So use the form, use every aspect of it so you have the correct information and you know how to work with these people. So, okay. I'm not going to go over the compensation plan. I feel like most of you at this point already understand it. And if you do not understand it, let me know. I'll actually put a link in here for a compensation plan, the webinar that Patrick Sedevi did, and they sent it to us right before we went over to Prague. And I feel like it's probably the best explanation of the compensation plan that I've seen. And it's about an hour. So if you're really wanting to understand our compensation plan, sit down for an hour and really understand it and learn it. It's so important that you guys understand that and are able to talk through it. But for the sake of time, I think that it would be better if you sat down and watched that. So I'll put that link at the bottom or in the comments of this specific video for you guys to listen. So, okay, let me just pass through here. So, okay, so we're gonna talk a little bit about placements. And this is something that, again, some of you are listening to this and you're really new builders, so this might feel a little above where you're at, and that's okay. I just want you guys to understand how important placements is from the very beginning. So if you want to have a long-term sustainable, truly residual income that lasts for years and decades, you should have one goal when it comes to placements: time freedom, okay? If you place irresponsibly, rushing to get to power of 3 bonuses or to pop to rank prematurely, then you end up creating a mess for yourself later. And I have done this in my organization, and I'm kind of paying for it now. And it's been pretty, it's been a little brutal, to be honest. So the most sustainable business structure is where your key partners are committed and capable. Some of you have been hearing me say that a lot: committed and capable, or they C's. When your legs are all built beneath committed and capable builders rather than less committed and capable builders, sharers, and customers, your momentum will increase exponentially. So the ideal levels, the ideal team structure is that on your first level, your first level qualifiers would be committed and capable people. They would be double C's. So if you were to draw bubbles, I would be up here. I would have my 3 committed and capable people, and then they would have their hopefully committed and capable builders as well, because if you're duplicating what you're creating right now, then that's committed and capable. That creates such a strong structure, and it also gives you that time freedom, so you're not having to hustle and fill in gaps all the time. So the second level would be a committed or a capable. It doesn't necessarily need to be both, but you definitely want a C, one of the C's in that spot. So then level 3 would be a customer and a sharer. So most people will look at this initially and be super overwhelmed and think like, well, like most of my team is like they're placeholders, or it was a friend who is really just a product user. And that's really common. But what happens is those people then, if I were to draw a bubble of myself and potentially, if you have a committed and capable builder right below you, then the people they're enrolling are going to them, and how they're, that specific person is like educating them, and they're continuing education, and they're nurturing those people and continuing to educate them. What happens is, if you don't have a committed and capable person in that spot, and you're enrolling people and placing people under there, all of a sudden all those people are constantly pulling on you and needing you. And so all of a sudden you have an organization of 1,500 people who, they're like, who's my leader? Who's my teacher? Who's helping me? And you can't be that person to do that. So the idea of really having clean structure is that you have these committed and capable people who are doing what we're doing, what we've been talking about for the last 4 weeks. So committed means that they do what they say they're going to do when they say they'll do it. You determine committed by how they treat their earliest commitments with dōTERRA. Do they keep their appointments? When you ask them to watch a video or read an email, do they do it? I mean, that's big, you guys. Like, are people really doing the things that you're asking? And so that is committed. Someone who is doing those things, who is taking those recommendations that you as a builder and someone who is, holding their hands and taking them through this process is doing. And it's really important to do this, kind of test them early on. Now, capable means that they can bring people to the table. They can figure things out. They can sign up people. They know how to log into their back office, and they know how to enroll somebody. Let's see, you determine the capability by watching if they can get people to classes, bring people to you to enroll them themselves. They can also tap into resources and learn how to do things themselves. So they're self-motivated. Really, that's a capable person, someone who's self-motivated and able to get the things done that need to get done. Now, we utilize the 15-day placement window to determine if a builder is committed and capable. So don't guess, you guys. Don't guess. Don't have like the thoughts of like, oh, they'll come around. No, test them. Because if they're not committed or capable early on, then you're going to put them on your third level, your second or third level. Like right away. They're not going to be one of your committed and capable builders. At best, your second level would be at best, and third level is really where you're going to put all your customers. And this is all going back to creating time freedom. Okay. So what happens if someone is either committed or capable, but not both? Someone who doesn't demonstrate both commitments and capability is great for your second level. These are valuable builders who will likely require more time and energy for you, which is why they don't go on your front line. By keeping a high standard for your closest business partners, you show up like a professional. You can attract this kind of partner that you're looking for. This doesn't mean that you disregard people who don't fit your mold perfectly. You welcome all of them into your team, and you just have a really clear picture as to where you're going to be putting them. And you get really good into reading just those early signs of what type of person they are. And so really the biggest mistake that a lot of people will make is that they're putting product users on their front line. And a lot of us didn't know better and did that in the beginning. And so now we have these people that are sitting, on front lines who they just place orders and they feel really entitled to their spot. And that gets super sticky. It's really rough. And so when you're trying to advance and you're dealing with, building out their whole organization, like things get really sticky. So these are just ways to avoid this. Sometimes this stuff does come up, and maybe that person was a CC initially and they decided that, they just weren't into it, and they weren't willing to get through the blocks or whatnot in the business. And they, obviously life circumstances change too. Some people come into this and they're excited, and then they just aren't in love with building the business. So have those crucial conversations beforehand and talk about that. Say, hey, I'm putting you in a crucial part in my business, and I just want you to understand where you're at. And so it's really like having just that open communication, and then tell them, if you ever come to a point where you're just not interested in building and growing your business, then I'll want to replace you. And so these are ways that we solve these placement issues. So it's better to just talk about it and really have these questions that are not hard. It's just communicating beforehand, right? Before people have been sitting there for years. So placing family who are not CCs on your front line is a really big one. A lot of us have family on our front line. And I think it's the hardest part about that is like, you can't really hold your family accountable. Like I can't tell my mom, you didn't enroll 3 people this month. Like I can't say that to her. But I have to say, like, there are exceptions to this rule. But again, when we're looking at a duplication model, the majority of family that is placed on frontline causes total drama, and it's not worth it. So I recommend not placing family on your frontline. If you have a clean structure and you're just starting to build, do not place a family member unless they are a very committed CC and you have had all those conversations. So you just don't want to bring the stress and the pressure into that relationship. It's not worth it in the long run. So not clustering by location is another mistake that people will make. And so for me in Mammoth, I've been building here for a while and I have a whole bunch of people kind of scattered all throughout my organization. It would have probably been a little bit more beneficial to my builders here in Mammoth to have all the Mammoth people underneath one leg. And so if you can start to move in that direction and having people that are in one area in one leg, it'll just be better in the long run as far as feelings getting hurt for people sharing oils. And there sometimes just overlap naturally happens. I don't think most people don't typically mean to do it on purpose, but if one of my builder has been sampling someone that I've also been sampling, like it just, it gets all sticky. And so you want to just put everybody into that specific leg by location. And then even relationships, making sure that people who are close together, they're also in that same leg. And so I didn't realize that some of, the girls that I initially when I was first building, I was enrolling a ton of people and I was just putting people like in these different spots because no one told me how to do this properly. We were just kind of winging it and building really, really quickly. And so what happened was, I didn't realize that so-and-so and so-and-so were such good friends and I put them on completely different legs. And so then that caused a little drama, but, intentionally, I just didn't even know. So making sure that you're thinking about placements and asking people questions in their wellness console, especially if they're going to become a builder or a sharer. Okay. So how to place how to solve these placement issues. These are all the things doTERRA allows us to do in our business, and they're really particular on some of them and very strict on their rules because that actually protects our structure and it protects our bonus pools and everything. So what you can do is if you have a really volatile leg, maybe someone is in a position and they're not willing to move, they're a product user and they're sitting on your front line and they're like, nope, I'm not willing to move. I want to continue to collect my check and sit here. There are definitely like sticky situations, and all of you on here, if you understand this, we've all been there, right? So one of the things that you can do is just simply start a new leg. You guys can do the 6 weeks to elite. You can find, if you need a silver leg that you need to rebuild, you're going to find 9 new people, and you're going to do 6 weeks to elite. And potentially you could actually build that leg out in 6 weeks if you're really good and you're doing the steps properly. So that is totally, that's one way you can just do it. You can just start building a new leg. Another one is to place a new committed and capable builder underneath an existing leg. So if you do have someone that's sitting on your front line and they're just sitting there and you're feeling really frustrated because there's just no growth, there's never been good communication, or maybe the relationship is toxic, I don't know. There's all different types of situations. You can put a new committed and capable person that you're not going to give up enrollment of, and that's going to become your new leg. And so you can just work with that committed and capable person, and you can hold their arm until they get to, silver or gold or diamond, whatever their goals are. And you use the 6 weeks to elite to help them build that structure, right? So your goal is to have all your qualifiers be CCs. That would be perfect structure and most ideal. You can do an account transfer, but you have to test people before you do this. And you have to make sure that they're really actually going to be a CC. When you're transferring someone into an existing account, usually you're transferring them into a position that makes money. And so if people haven't been properly vetted in this process, then they could just sit there. And that's the thing with network marketing. Sometimes we have people just like, it was like they were at the right place at the right time and got put in a position, and now they get to sit there and make all this money, but it's really slowing your business down because you're having to do all this extra work for their business. So that time freedom is not there anymore. So this is where I think it's important to have the conversation beforehand. If you're transferring somebody into an account or into a specific spot, it's because you've had that initial conversation with that person and said, hey, if you ever decide that you're not wanting to build, I'm going to actually transfer someone into your account or into your spot that does. And then that person you're transferring, they've gone through all the lists. They have 3 people that they're going to enroll right when you're about ready to transfer them. They've gone through all the daily mentor calls. They've done the homework within the daily mentor calls. They're doing the things. Those are the only people that you would want to do an account transfer with. And it makes it a win-win for the person transferring out, and it just makes everything so much better. So you can do an enrollment change is another way that you can do that. So if there is someone underneath you and maybe you had to, let's see, an enrollment change would be one of your people, maybe you taught a class. This is a good example. You taught a class and for a new builder, and that new builder enrolled 5 people, and one of those women that person enrolled ends up being this really awesome builder, but the person who you had taught the class for is not doing anything. So you could ask them and say, hey, I'm wondering if you would give me enrollment of so and so, because whatever, you can just have that conversation. And it's really good to do with all of these different things is to role play with somebody. So you can call your upline or call me, and we can role play through the possible just conversation that could come up from all of this and figure out, because every situation has unique details to it. You can do a placement swap. You can swap accounts. So you can swap one person that's on, you can just, they have to be right underneath each other. You can do a swap there. That's a pretty easy one to do. You can terminate someone's account. When you terminate someone's account, they usually they'll sit on your front or on that specific line for 6 to 12, or I'm sorry, is it 12 months? 6 to 12 months. I can't remember. I think it's 6 to 12 months. Don't quote me, but if you have something that you want to do with that, ask me later and I can help you figure it out. And then you can also apply for an exceptions. A lot of us do this on a pretty, we're aware of it, right? We try and do this often and go through our organization and see if there's any, different little moves that we can make and go through the exceptions committee. Exceptions committee will always say no to a move that makes you a new rank. Or that fills in power of 3. So it cannot be for those. So you have to figure out what that looks like. So usually it has to be way far down in your organization. And yes, essentially it is going to affect volume in that specific leg. But it's really important to make sure that it's not directly affecting your power of 3. Otherwise they will not do it. And then on those same lines, if someone has already hit, if they've already hit over elite, usually the move will not happen. So, and you can't move more than 100 OV. So, or I'm sorry, 1,000 OV. So if you have someone sitting in a specific spot and they were a builder at one point and now they're not doing anything, but they have a whole bunch of people underneath them, say they have like 600 OV on a regular basis, you could potentially move that person underneath someone else. And so what they really want to see is that you're moving that volume into a spot that's growing. So that leader in the place that you're building or that you're wanting to move this volume underneath, this little team underneath, if you will, needs to be enrolling pretty actively. So they have to definitely have enrolled one person in the last couple months, if not more. Sometimes it's 3. So in order to do that, that might be one of the criteria that exceptions committee will say to you, like, hey, you have to actually, the person that you're moving that volume underneath has to enroll 3 people within these 3 months. And so they'll give you different exception guidelines as to what will work for that specific move. And a lot of times they'll say no. These moves also, they need to have like a good excuse. So location is also a great one. If you're trying to move, part of like for me, if I'm trying to move part of my mammoth team underneath like another part of my mammoth team, that's definitely going to be, they're going to look at that a little bit more and be more apt to say yes to that, because you know, doTERRA is all about creating community and support. And so if that's like one of the main reasons, then they may say yes. So this is definitely, it takes a little bit of time. The exceptions committee only meets twice a month, and it can just take a little bit of time. So, but these are different ways that we can tighten up our organization, and we can really potentially move some volume around. Yeah, you're right, Ginger. It does take 12 months for the termination. And so, yeah, those are just some ways. And this is like, it can be really complex, and every situation is different. So if you're looking through your organization and wanting to really make like a new, like kind of solve some of these problems that you've been dealing with, then definitely work with somebody in doing this and cleaning it up and figuring out how to move forward within that. So let's see here. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys, we've gone over a lot of this already, but I wanted to show you guys just really this sample weekly success schedule. So you really have all the tools in place at this point to be able to take your business to where you want to grow and to those goals that you might have, that you should have. So here's a weekly success schedule. You guys, if you are really wanting to grow your business and really begin to rank advance and replace your income, it takes about 30 to 40 hours of work a week. That is no joke. That is about what I spend on my business right now. I'm also in, you know, just a season, I'm in a season of growth and momentum. And so I'm really, and I've had to really create it. It has not been easy. It has not been easy at all, but I'm so grateful for this program, because this Back to Basics program is so duplicatable that I can be taking people through the 6 weeks to elite and starting to see these new builders pop up, but it takes some time to get it going. So here is a pretty legit, this is not mine exactly, but this is a great schedule that you can, you know, if you haven't done this, create a block of your week and each hour and each day, and then start to block out those specific time frames. And you should be doing your strategy sessions, your a team call. Now, team calls are great, but team calls, if you're not a higher rank, they even say like if you're not a diamond yet, and with a real diamond organization, do your team calls with your upline. A lot of us, we have a huge educate and empower. We have constant continuing education and team calls happening all the time. So that's a wonderful way. I've done team calls off and on when there's been a need, and they haven't been a big need in my specific team. And so I'm not personally doing team calls, but I do team calls with my whole upline. And I actually have 2 that I do a week with them, and I'll help lead them and whatnot. And so having these team calls, and you know, I do have some silvers in my team who do weekly team calls, and they're really successful, and people will show up, and that's awesome. So the team call thing is, you know, if you have the energy and people are showing up and you've built that community, then that's fantastic. Keep doing that each week. But if you're not feeling like you have that big of a team yet, then pull on me, pull on whoever you're underneath, and we'll plug you into our specific team call and the continuing education and all of that. So you want to have wellness consults on there, because as you're going through the 6 weeks to elite, you're going to be enrolling people, and you have to be doing the wellness consult. So have an hour, or have a couple hours in your week blocked out to do those specific wellness consults. And then contacting and follow up. This is like the jam of our business. This is on my schedule 5 days a week for 2 hours each day right now. Contacting and following up. That's where I'm going through my list, contacting people, following up with them. If I've already contacted them, I'm sampling them. This is the bread and butter of your business. If you're not spending at least, you know, 4 or 5 hours in your business doing this, you're probably not growing very fast. So if you want to grow quicker and get past these, like, you know, lower ranks, then I highly recommend you spend a lot of time contacting and following up and using your list of 100. And then let's see here, you have your weekly oil class, you have the Back to Basics training right after the business training right after. So these are things that are just always on your weekly schedule. Then you have another wellness consult, and then you have continuing education. So your schedule doesn't have to look like this. I try and kind of book my whole Monday through Friday. I book that out, and I use my Saturday mornings for trainings, for a bit more business trainings. I've found that that's like that works best for my business. I'm really trying to, at this point, just take Sundays off completely. Like not look at my Voxer app, and really, unless it's like the last day of the month, then of course I'm working all throughout that day. But it's definitely have a day that you completely disconnect within our business. It's really easy to be working all the time, and it feels like you're doing things all the time. But what happens is you're not really actually doing the things that are moving your business forward all the time. So if you have specific blocks on your schedule for that specific action that you're doing, then you're going to see a lot more momentum. And again, we're talking about time freedom. A lot of us are in this business and in this work because we want to be able to spend time with our family, or we may have kids at home that we're homeschooling or whatnot. So really get so specific with your schedule and stick to it. And if you're having a hard time sticking to it, ask someone to be an accountability partner and talk through that, and text each other or call each other each day and say, okay, what are your things on your list today? Like, bring your community and your team into all of this, you guys. That's what the beauty of our business really is. So have your weekly schedule set up. And okay, I'm going to go through this. I really want to actually end this training talking about consistency. And again, this is your business, and you're going to have people that come and go, people who promise you the moon, the sky, the stars, and they're not going to keep their word. They're going to tell you they're going to show up to classes, and they're not going to. People can really disappoint in this business, but at the end of the day, it's your business. And even if those things are happening, and you're continuing to stay consistent in all of these things that we've been learning about, your business will continue to grow. And what's going to happen is you're going to actually, yes, you'll have those people that come into your business and don't keep their word and all the things, but you're going to also be attracting all these people who do, and who are so excited to be running with you. And you're going to be able to build this beautiful community. But if you're not consistent with doing these things, it's not going to grow, and it's going to be frustrating, and it's going to feel overwhelming, and you're probably going to want to quit a lot. So my biggest, and I've said this so many times, is little by little, little becomes a lot. And it's so true. If you only have 30 minutes right now a day to dedicate towards your business, do that. And do that until it tips, until you have more time to spend on your business. And honestly, you guys, people have, they have done the 6 weeks to elite with so many people at one time that they could rank advance from, elite to diamond within a couple months. Like, anything is possible. It all goes back to what you're willing to put into it. And that is, sometimes that feels a little like, like, what am I willing to put into it? And ask yourself, what am I willing to put into it? What am I willing to sacrifice? And I have to say, if you sacrifice, the more you sacrifice of your time, I should say, in the beginning, the quicker your business is going to grow, and you're going to have a lot more time freedom, especially if you're doing it properly in this way. So there are only a handful of important decisions you need to make in your business. Most people complicate the business and get bogged down and overwhelmed. My goal has always been to make things as simple as possible. Once you have mastered the basics of the business, all you have to do is actually do them on a consistent basis. You can create the kind of business you desire. Successful people make the right decision and manage those decisions daily. The earlier you make those right decisions, the longer you manage them, the more successful you become. So you get to decide now. So I'm going to leave you guys with that this morning, is you get to decide now. What do you want to do? What do you want this business to look like? Not what it's been, not what you see your friend doing, or you've seen me do, or you see Susan do. Like, what do you want? Like, what do you want this business to look like? And get just so grounded in what you are creating. And again, go back to these basic steps. And so that is really it. This is our duplication model, you guys. This is everything in a nutshell that we have talked about over the last 4 weeks. Sample, invite, classes, wellness consults, continuing education, the business training. For builders, 3-way call, business follow-up call, 6 weeks to elite, team call, strategy call, success scheduled. I mean, this is it. This is simply it. It's very duplicatable. You can make it so simple. And I feel like we have really broke it down simple enough to be able to do this. And I really just, yeah, you guys, you have all of the tools to make this happen. And even if you're in a frustrated spot in your business, it's okay. Like, you'll get through it. And the second you start putting action into it, that's where you start to pull yourself out of these like stuck feelings, pull yourself out of that. And you know what, more than anything, like, I am here to link arms with all of you guys. I don't care where you're at in my organization. If you are feeling stuck and you're wanting to move your business forward and you're just not sure how to, let's link arms and let's do it together, because that's what I've been doing with my upline this whole time. And it's been so powerful and so fun. So I would leave you guys with that. I think that's all I had in here. I'm going to consider doing some type of a Q&A in the next few weeks. But as I'm launching my 6 weeks to elite right now, I'm going to really focus on that, because I have people that I'm going to be taking them through the 6 weeks to elite. So if you want to go through the 6 weeks to elite with me, or if you want to start, bringing some of your potential builders through that, let me know, and we can all do it together and mastermind all together. So thank you guys all for showing up, and thanks for spending the time to just, out of your Saturday mornings to be here and to show up. So bye guys. Thank you.